I'm a little late to the party on this, but I simply could not pass up the opportunity to talk about some juicy drama. Uh, Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, Switch 2 Edition. Nintendo shadow dropped it last week, and that was like great. Like that was really, really cool, and everything they showed off about the game looked good. But it seems that things are not all going well. It seems that the game apparently has some problems, and the size of the problems seems to differ from like person to person, which is always a weird situation. Whenever you have technical problems like this, you have some people insisting that it's a massive deal, it's a game breaker, game breaking issues, and other people insisting that it's really not a big deal at all. They can barely even see it. I do not own the game myself, so I've not seen any of this with my own two eyes, but I've been watching some videos and reading some posts and comments and whatnot. And if you ask some people what the problem is, they will say there are some textures that like shimmer a little bit. They'll just say like there's some like upscaling problem with some of the textures, creating something of a blurry effect or a shimmering effect. And the way they describe it, it sounds like it's just some things, some of the time. Usually when they say that, they're like, it's really not that big of a deal at all. It's just like a little bit. Okay, fine. And then those people will say, like, I think this whole thing is overblown, because over here, then you got other people who are saying that, like, it's completely unplayable, it's terrible, it's worse than the original. I do always love that. Like, I mean, like, if there are problems with the game, fair enough, but it is always funny how people really do like to exaggerate, like a whole lot. And anytime it's a re-release, anytime it's a remaster or a remake, I have observed that even if 99% of the experience is better, if one thing is off, if one thing is worse, then the discourse becomes, it's worse than the original. The entire thing is worse than the original. Forget the higher resolution. Forget the higher frame rate. If this element is worse, then it looks worse than on the Wii U, which is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, even the Switch version was like better than the Wii U. So like here, so I say that just to say I'm always skeptical of comments like that. I'm skeptical whenever I hear that, because it often is just wildly, dramatically exaggerated. It's not always the case, but you do frequently get people hyper-focusing, hyper-fixating on the flaws and letting that spoil the whole stew or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, just like, no, like, it's terrible, look at this, instead of just looking at the greater package. So I was skeptical, especially because I kept hearing people say, it's just some textures shimmering, like, sometimes. And I've even, like, and I would watch some videos, and they would put, like, side-by-sides, and I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, there's, like, maybe some issues. But then I watched the Digital Foundry video, and they are like, this is terrible. They're like, I'm like, oh, really? No, they're like, this is completely terrible. And they show footage, and this is not isolated to just like some textures some of the time. This is something that applies to like the entire game, the entire image that they show. It seems that basically or theoretically, the game is using upscaling technology that is outdated, and it is using it not well, and it's applying it to like the entire thing. So the way they show it, there is like the entire image is kind of shimmery. It's just like a bad upscaling where you're looking at the image and it's all just kind of blobby. It's all just kind of blurry, and like, you know, the whole image is like one kind of shifting artifact. Like you can't even say individual artifacting. It's just like the whole entire thing is just really messed up. So it's weird. It's really interesting. And yeah, again, I don't have it myself. I believe that what they're showing and what a lot of people are experiencing is it's a lot worse in handheld. And I think that really may be it. I really think it kind of comes down to that. You have people with such different experiences, and I would not, at this point, I would not be surprised if it's just, oh, well, I've been playing on the TV, and what are you talking about? This looks great. And then someone else would be like, I've only played handheld because I only play my Switch 2 handheld, and it's awful. And you know what? If you're looking at it on a 1080p screen, and it has this gross blobby issue, then yes, I think you could probably argue that it looks worse than the original. You know, the original would have rendered at a lower resolution, but it would have been stable. You know, it would have been a stable image that was rendering as it should. Whereas when you take an image and you upscale it improperly, then it's all like blobby. And sure, you know, frame rate's better, but like, no, yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see if this is mostly a handheld issue and these are the results that we're getting. No, that's definitely worse. And a really surprising thing about this is that apparently it's so bad that people were asking for refunds from Nintendo, and I've heard that results there have been mixed. There are some people who have not been getting refunds, but some people have. Apparently, plenty of people have been getting refunds, and Nintendo doesn't normally do that. Nintendo doesn't normally give out refunds for stuff like this. I mean, they don't normally release games in this state at all. They don't normally release games that need to be refunded. And like, I mean, just game companies overall, the times when they have given refunds have always been like really extreme cases where you get all these media attention about how this thing is like totally broken, and then they've given the refunds. So like, I don't know. For plenty of people, it seems like it's not a big deal, but I think for Nintendo to budge at all and give any refunds whatsoever is basically them acknowledging like, yeah, we did miss them. We did miss the mark here. Like, they basically have to agree with us that this is unacceptable, completely unacceptable and refundable for them to actually give in and do the refunds. So it's kind of like, by Nintendo's own admission, there is a problem here. There is a really big problem. It's going to vary from person to person, different experiences, but at least for some people, there is a really big problem, which is, I mean, it's surprising for so many reasons. You know, again, like Nintendo, like they'll have problems with their games. They may release a game, oh, not enough content, too much price, yada yada, but like buggy, that's not a very Nintendo thing. And like a monolith game, like, no, they know how to use hardware. Like, they know how to code their game. That's why this game looks weirdly good for a Wii U game. It did, like, just, they're wizards. They really know what they're doing. So this is even weirder. And like, sure, often when you do these kinds of like remasters, re-releases, you will outsource them to a different studio. But as always, in any case like this, it's like, yeah, but you approved it. You're the one, you know, Nintendo and or Monolith, like, you outsourced it, you gave them the job, you checked in on them, they handed you the product, and you decided to publish it. And Nintendo's quality checks are just, they're usually, I don't know, they don't usually let stuff like this slip by. We don't usually get articles about Nintendo games that are broken at launch and have to be patched later. So it's very strange. I really don't know how this happened, you know, especially like it's a shadow drop, so maybe it was kind of rushed, but at the same time, they're planning on doing a physical edition of this, even though it's just like a $5 upgrade, and apparently it's like not perfect, so it's just weird. It's just a really strange situation. The entire thing is very, very weird, and I know a lot of people are getting refunded, and that's totally fair. You know, I see people arguing about it everywhere. Some people who are like, oh, you get refunded. Isn't that a little bit dramatic? But at the same time, like, I mean, I don't know, maybe not. If this is just bad, you could try to get your $5 refund. I honestly would pay $5 to just not have to talk to customer service. But like, you can just rebuy it again later if they fix it later, you know? So I know I could see that if it's a principal thing. Like, yeah, like, don't pay $5 if it is not a good product, and if Nintendo is willing to admit that this is not a good product, then sure. But I have no doubt that they're gonna fix it, is the thing. You know, there's something weird going on here, and it's the kind of thing where, you know, technically you never know. Technically they could be like, I don't know, because Xenoblade X, for a long time, we weren't even sure if we would get it on Switch, because like, who was it? One of the developers, it was just like, because it took such technical wizardry to get it running on Wii U, it would be really, really hard to just port over to Switch. You'd have to like redo a bunch of stuff. It's like Bloodborne. For some weird reason, you just like, you can't emulate it. You can't recreate it. It's just a thing that exists and you can never change it. They did eventually do it. And but like that version was great. So I don't know why now. I don't know why now just getting it running on Switch 2, they're having a problem. So it could be one of those things where there's a problem and we don't know how to fix it. It's a Monster Hunter Wild situation. We just don't know. Or they could patch it tomorrow and fix it completely. You know, like they could. It's kind of like with Pikmin 3 Deluxe. You know, when the Switch 2 first launched and people were playing Pikmin 3 Deluxe on there were some pretty serious visual glitches. Yeah, like some very weird visual stuff. Some weird, just this stuff would like pop up on the screen. It was very strange, but then Nintendo fixed it. They patched it, and it was perfect. It was just perfect forever. Like it's perfect now. It's perfect forever. So that could easily happen here, and then all this will be behind us. I would hope that that would happen before the physical version of the game goes to like physical retail store shelves. But yeah, I don't know. Just a weird situation. Just a very, very strange thing to have happen. So I don't know, wanted to talk about it. I don't usually do the comment engagement thing in Top Carlo videos, but I think this is a good opportunity. What about you? Like, have you played this? What have you experienced? Like, and if there has been a big quality issue, are you playing handheld? Is it just because you're playing handheld? Has anybody played both and observed one way on one and another way on another? Because that's the thing. People who aren't seeing these really big problems, the general consensus is still that it's an upgrade, like for the most part, you know, like higher frame rate, obviously great, you know, even if it's not native 4K on the TV, even if it's got some upscaling issues, overall, it's still a dramatic improvement over the original, as long as you're not having this weird blobby issue. So I'm very, very curious to see what all of you think and what you have experienced and what you ate for breakfast.